We heard two different Robert Salehs yesterday. Two very, very, very different Robert Salehs yesterday. Last night we had entertaining Robert Saleh.
Guys, it was our first opportunity to change the stink that's been in this organization for a very long time on the offensive side of the ball. You can have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You can have two $10 million plus receivers. You can have a reigning offensive rookie of the year. You can have all kinds of skill in the running back room. None of it matters until the big boys up front change who the we are.
Okay, and there was about 40 more seconds and about 9 more F-bombs, and everybody's pumped up, right?
I loved it, BT.
All right, then there's the other Robert Saleh who made an earlier appearance on The Fan. The boys were out at Jets camp yesterday, and Robert Saleh said, quote, "The best coach teams in the world coach themselves." All right, so let me flush through this real fast, because I believe, unfortunately for us, the real Robert Saleh is the one who was on WFAN.
What?
Okay.
You weren't pumped about that last
I'm
night?
not saying I wasn't pumped. I'm saying what I really believe to be true. So, Sal, you go back, the first episode of Hard Knocks, right? Everybody's hammering Saleh. Who's the head coach? Who's the alpha? You did this while I was out. It was a big topic, right? And you knew he heard that, and he felt it. And coincidentally, or not coincidentally, the second episode, Robert Saleh puts on an F-bomb-laden show for the cameras. It's one thing to sit there and say, oh, yeah, it was amazing. I was pretty pumped up, and, yeah, it was cool. The problem is, I just think it's a reaction to what everybody was saying, because the first Robert Saleh on The Fan is the real Robert Saleh.
See, I saw, and I don't like those quotes either that he gave to Evan and Joe and Marash out there. I didn't like that either, and I didn't like what I saw in episode 1. As you said, you were off last week. I talked about Saleh not being the alpha male that I wanted to see. I saw it last night. I enjoyed watching Hard Knocks episode 2, and we'll get more into the details of it, but I loved it, and I loved it, BT, because that's what I wanted to see from the head coach of this team. There wasn't the dynamic with Rodgers and him. They didn't go into details with that, but Saleh, to me, looked like, acted like, sounded like a real head coach. That's what I wanted to see from Robert Saleh.
You know what the key word there is? Acted. Acted. I mean, you think about human nature, right? So we do a lot of things at the every morning we meet as a show. Mm-hmm. It's me, it's you, it's Hoff's off. He's in Disney for the ninth time this year with his kids. Good luck, buddy, don't drown. And we have Amanda in, who's producing. We got, of course, Spike, and we have Dove, right? We flushed through the show, boom, in and out, right? Last week, which was pretty cool, we had a big sales presentation for the new show. Mm-hmm. Me and you and Spike, Q&A, up on stage, 50, 60 people from the station, our big studio, the Odyssey studio. Now, when you look at those two different situations, just from a human point of view, which one are you on higher alert for?
Well, you walk into a room with more people.
Sure.
Right.
A little bit, but yeah, I don't want to say it's a theatrical presentation.
You're on stage.
Yeah, we had microphones, we're on stage.
So Saleh on stage on Hard Knocks.
Yeah. So what do you think is more in line with who he really is? The Hard Knocks cameras last night in front of 83 grown men after probably being pissed off for a couple of days, or at least processing somehow that people perceive him not to be the actual, not the literal, but the true voice coach of the Jets, because it's Rodgers, and the next chance you get a chance, or the next opportunity to get a chance to change that, you completely deviate from who you've been so far publicly, or the guy that was in the most benign antiseptic room at Jets camp yesterday with 4 other guys, Loogie is the producer. Who do you think is the more natural reflection of personality?
His words that he said to our guys in the afternoon, his words I did not like. However, actions speak louder than words to me. And it was his actions in episode 2 of Hard Knocks that made me feel much better about what he is. And sometimes, BT, you could be unsure of yourself. And that was my biggest critique, that he wasn't the alpha male in the room. Rodgers was. But it felt like Saleh wasn't 100% sure of what he was saying. Even that crow bull crap with the eagle.
That was corny.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
But just the way he was saying certain things,
yeah.
I felt like I was watching somebody who was unsure of themselves. In episode 2, He was sure of himself. So it's not what he said, because what he said with the guys in the afternoon was not right. I didn't like that. The best teams coach themselves. Bull crap. No, you got to go out there and coach.
Yep.
But I saw him with my own eyes coaching that team in episode 2. And that is what I want from Robert Saleh. That makes me believe that maybe Saleh can be the guy for the Jets. I needed to see it after week 1 episode. I was depressed at what I saw with Saleh, questioning him, of course, being the alpha male. After last night's episode, I loved what I saw from Robert Saleh.
All right, 877-337-6666. BT and Sal on the Fan. 10:07 on this Wednesday. We're inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair reminds you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Belichick, Parcells, Lombardi, Coach Wooden, Coach K, Red Auerbach, throw in all the coaching luminaries. Imagine one of them saying, quote, the best coach teams in the world coach themselves. Just let those words marinate.
I get it.
Because to me, it offsets the energy and the theater and the excitement and the presence and the alpha maleness that he was driving home. Listen, again, yeah, it's entertaining. It's also TV. It's TV.
I get it. Look, I thought Rex Ryan, there was some fun things about that, but I didn't believe what we saw from him years ago. I was sold as a coach on him. With Saleh, I feel like it's different. Now, remember, you're a guy who's year 3 here. He has not proven himself as a head coach. He has not had success as a head coach, so he has to have some success to have true confidence. But I have much more confidence in him after watching the show. I don't think it was staged. Like, this is not a reality show where it's going to be staged and scripted. Hey, Robert, today's episode, you really should go out there and lay it on thick and show that you're the alpha. Like, I'm not buying that. I think maybe he heard the criticisms and realized, you know what? I do need to be more sure of myself, and I'm going out being me. And I saw a guy that looked like he was in command.
But that's a problem to me if the only reason that you're doing it is because outside voices are criticizing the approach up until this point. He's not a rookie head coach. He's not a second-year head coach. He's a third-year head coach. Granted, he's now a third-year head coach with crazy expectations, and I understand that it's still a bit of a transition, I guess. Year 3's training camp, you should not be so unsure or so fluctuating in your coaching methodology and presentation that just because some knuckleheads like us on the radio are saying that we're not sure that you're the alpha on the team, that you're the coach.
Right, but maybe he was a little nervous with the cameras. Maybe he's, tipping his toe in the water with Rodgers. And he says, look, Aaron, he's 39, whatever, how old he is.
Yep.
Great experience in a league. Of course, I'm going to listen to him, which is fine. But I needed to see a real presence that I know was atop this organization leading this team on the field. I did not see that in episode 1. I saw it last night, and it got me pumped up. I was excited about it. With the comments that he made to the guys in the afternoon, I take what I saw more so in the total episode, which, by the way, airs over the course of a week, right? Like, it's not just one day. This has been going on for a week and saying, I know we don't have it, with the offensive line practicing poorly or being excited about what they did against Carolina in the preseason game, all those different things. I saw what I believe to be a confident, good head coach in the second episode of Hard Knocks.
Okay, we see it a little differently here. Very interesting how 2 Robert Salehs within a 10, 12-hour time frame showed up. One you believe is the real Robert Saleh. That was the one on Hard Knocks.
A guy who's learning BT on the fly. Like, I get what you say. You should be by now in year 3.
Yeah.
Yourself every episode.
Yeah.
But there were disparities from episode 1 to episode 2 of Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like maybe he learned and took the criticism, which you can do, and, maybe realize, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not doing this right, or maybe I feel like I should be doing this more. Either way, I was much more impressed with week 2 than week 1.
877-337-6666. BT and Sal on the Fan. All right, what do you guys think? Let's get to you. James in Flushing up first. James, what's happening?
BT, what's going on, guys?
Hey, buddy.
Listen, I'm disappointed.
What?
I'm gonna tell you, because first, when he was on the Fan yesterday with Joe and Evan, he didn't say coach themselves. He said police themselves. It's two totally different things.
No, he said
But he
coach.
said coach. He used the word coach. He said, and literally, and we'll play for it, the best coach teams in the world coach themselves. James, sit tight. I'll get back to you. Dove, why don't you hammer that out, buddy?
The best coach teams in the world are the teams that coach themselves.
Thank you very much.
It's where the locker room
That's
can
good.
take
It's good. It's good. It's good. See what I'm saying, James?
Okay. Yeah. All right. But I don't think he meant actual literal coaching, like policing themselves. Everyone's holding each other accountable.
Yep. I mean, but it's not unfair to react to what he actually said. I don't truly know what he may have meant that. I'm just reacting to what he said.
All right, that's fair. Okay, you got that. But the next thing, when he was in San Francisco, when we first hired him,
yes,
right, we were excited because we saw him on the sidelines, dapping up his players, jumping up and down, screaming. What do you think he's doing when he's doing that? He's not saying, "Good job, guys." He's getting aggressive. There's times to do it and there's times to not. He's a head coach now. You can't just be screaming your head off all the time. The reason why he did that yesterday on the episode was because he saw a serious problem, and if you remember, he talked to the coaches on the way to the locker room.
Mm-hmm. You're trailing off there, James. I got to let you go. He's still finding his way. I don't expect you to be a finished product at the at this stage of his career. It's early year 3. Hell, you and I have been doing this stuff for a while. I don't view myself as a finished product on the radio.
Right.
Everybody. You should always try to evolve.
Speak for yourself,
well,
BT.
Of course.
I'm a superstar in the making.
Until Mad Dog says, go get the shine box.
Yeah. No, you always want to evolve, right?
For sure.
You could get
to be introspective.
Well, and I also said you have to have some level of success to truly believe in yourself. Saleh is still learning. He's had great success as a coordinator. He hasn't had it as a head coach. I did not like what I saw. It wasn't what he was saying in the first episode. I didn't look at a guy who I felt was in total command of his team. Good or bad. Results may be good. Results may be bad.
Yep.
I want you to be in total control of this team as a head coach. I didn't see it in the first episode. I did see it in the second episode.
Now, Belichick's different. I get that. So maybe it's not even fair to invoke him. He's basically one of one. You ever see Sean McVay?
Yeah.
Like that wild fluctuation?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Well, he's one of the examples we used last week when saying that I wanted to see more of like a guy who's confident in himself with McVay.
I don't think Andy Reid's doing that too much.
Nope.
I don't think Coughlin did that as a 2-time champion.
No question.
Although Coughlin did evolve. I mean, think about that.
But
he was very rigid. He found a way to kind of loosen up to connect to the modern athlete. That's a little different, though.
Evolving was different than being like a dominant head coach from day one. Mm-hmm. Like you knew whether it was Jacksonville or here, he was in charge.
Even at BC, he was just an old school red ass, regimented. Sure. Again, I don't love it. It's just two different Robert Salehs that I heard yesterday, and unfortunately, I think the one that I think is the real one is the one on the fan. Brian's in Brooklyn. What's happening, Brian? How are you?
All right. How you doing, guys?
What's up, Brian?
I actually think that Robert Saleh saw himself on the first Hard Knocks and actually felt that he was too nice, and he changed things up. I think he reflected on that first one and then tried to change it up.
I kind of said the same thing. Like he heard the criticism, maybe he watched it and realized that, hey, that's not who I am or what I want to be.
Yeah.
And I saw, and it's not just the F-bombs, although those are great.
Oh, I'm not saying I didn't love that. Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Put the pads on me. Actually, don't, because I don't play football, I'm afraid. My mother wouldn't let me play. But I wanted to for Robert Saleh. I was pumped up with that episode. I believed in Saleh to a certain extent after watching that episode, but it was a total different feel for me from watching episode 1 to episode 2, and now I see what should be the makings of a competent head coach with a beast of a team this year.
Here's my biggest fear, okay? I think we both believe that he did that to diffuse the notion or redirect the narrative about who's running the show. Agreed? A little bit, at least laced somewhat in that.
I don't know if he did it to change the narrative. I think maybe he wasn't happy with how he either came across, whether he watched it with his own eyes, with the questions, and said, you know what, you bleepers,
yep,
this is who I am. And maybe you're
Okay,
right. Like
okay.
everybody, not every show that we do is going to leave us feeling great, right?
That's true.
And there's certain ones like, well, I screwed that up yesterday. Tomorrow, I'm leaving no doubt. And I think that may have been what happened here from episode 1 to episode 2.
To be fair to Robert, I'm going to leave that window open. But to me, it's such a stark deviation of what he's presented so far that to me, my only inclination is to think he's doing it. I don't want to say to placate us. That's unfair to Robert Saleh. But it's the human condition, okay? I just think that he a little self-preservation, a little, all right, they're saying this about me, and I've got to kind of redirect and reshift the narrative. I do believe that, okay? And if that is true, that worries me, because what about the next time that we're screaming about something, and what if we're actually wrong about what we're screaming about, and he still decides to kind of change, I don't want to say for us, but for public consumption? You got to know who you are.
Right. I think
that worries me.
And look, we're going to learn. I hope we can learn who he is. But the dynamic that we saw in episode 2 left me feeling much better about who he is than after episode 1.
877-337-6666. BT and Sal on the Fan. Jersey we go. What's cooking, Adam? How are you today, buddy?
Hey, what's up, BT? How you guys doing today?
Very well. What's up?
You guys have a great show going, by the way. You're a really good combo. BT, I haven't spoken to you since the Knicks playoffs when I told you they should have played Derrick Rose and he didn't do it.
Hey, I don't think I really disagreed. I would have mind seeing D Rose for a couple of minutes. I remember that. But what's your take on this? Go ahead. This is a pretty interesting topic.
I'm going to give you this from a coach's perspective,
Okay.
right? I'm a coach for 30 years. Never got to the NFL. You know, it's a more who you know business, whatever. But I did semi-pro, lower-level pro arena. And I'm going to tell you what Saleh meant by a team coaches itself. The best teams coach themselves. All right? That is true to an extent. What he means by that is when you have a team that has a particular work ethic and a particular way of being about themselves, and it's not about age, it's not about who's a veteran, who's a rookie, it's about the mentality of the team. It lets you lay off a lot of the details and focus on the things you need to focus as a coach and as a staff.
Yep.
So, for example, if you have receivers in a huddle and, you know, someone breaks a wrong route, the timing's off, they're 2 steps behind, the cut's late, whatever it may be, the coach doesn't always have to go up and say, hey, listen, man, this is what you did, because one of those players that understands the dynamic of what they're doing is going to be right next to him saying, hey, dude, you got to make that step 2 steps earlier. You're way late on that. You know, that's kind of what he means by that. The best teams that are right mentally, they do help coach themselves and make it easier. And I think what we saw in that episode, I think in that first episode, he's being laid back. He doesn't want to look heavy-handed on TV. He knows the cameras are rolling. But now in the second episode, after the way the offensive line played that practice, he's actually pissed off. And that's actually Robert Saleh. This was the first time you got to see Robert Saleh publicly not holding back who he is.
But he also didn't go nuts. I didn't think it was too theatrical where I didn't believe it. I believed what I saw was authentic from Robert Saleh. Even the way he was walking in the locker room saying, we just don't have it. We're missing something. You know, and then he could get on the guys and use the curses and all that stuff to make his point. I did not think it was theatrical. Where in many years watching Hard Knocks, you do see some guys who are over the top and, you know, total, you feel like it's for show. I didn't get that sense. I felt really good about Robert Saleh after this episode.
Well, and by the way, that last call, that was a very good call. Appreciate you making it as a coach with experience. I understand what you're saying there on every level, especially the accountability within your peers. That is strong. Like if you feel it's one thing to get, you know, admonished by a superior, by a boss, that's just the natural dynamics of the workforce. But if there's something going on with a peer who calls you out because your lack of production or focus is adversely affecting them, that's going to shape your behind, you know, a lot quicker, I would think, than maybe somebody with a suit saying, you got to do this, you got to crunch this number differently.
That's the case.
I do respect that. But the only thing that I would really push back on, you've got to earn that right. You want to tell me that when I'm trying to think of a good example here. Seifert comes in for Bill Walsh. Not all the players are still there, but some are still there. I kind of get it. Jerry Rice is still here, all right? Montana Young, okay, we're good. There's an element of autopilot and auto-policing. Have the Jets earned the benefit of the doubt to coach themselves?
No.
Exactly.
No, but I think that the best locker rooms do police themselves. Like, you're not going to get whoever it may be. Terry Collins isn't going in there to rip the 2016 Mets apart. You let the captain, in this particular case, David Wright, in this example, do the policing, and the guys police themselves in the clubhouse or the locker room, like what Saleh's saying, or maybe meant to say. I could understand that. That, to me, is different than having a head coach. I don't want the locker room to run things and coach the team. I want the head coach to coach the team, but players can police themselves.
All right. It's certainly interesting. You guys are weighing in nicely. 877-337-6666. Brandon Tierney, Saleh Show, BT and Sal on the Fan. We'll come back. We will get to your calls. What do you think, or who do you think, is the real Robert Saleh? The Hard Knocks version or the fan version? BT and Sal on the Fan.